there, I'm Grimm, the custodian of the library Paradoxica, and here's why you should come to my stream. If you are stressed, struggling to sleep, or just bored, I am here for you. I bring ASMR, spooky stories, and chill vibes, and a little bit of spice. If that is what you're looking for, then you should come over at 8 p.m. EST. Don't miss out. I better see you there. Remember to hydrate, chat. Ooh. There's just something so good about fresh water. I mean, fresh blood is completely different, but there's just something different about like a nice ice cold glass of water. Like you can feel it just lubricating your organs. It's really nice. Make sure to drink lots of water so you can cherish that feeling of lubricating your organs. Hi there, I'm Grimm, the custodian of the library Paradoxica, and here's why you should come to my stream. If you are stressed, struggling to sleep, or just bored, I am here for you. I bring ASMR, spooky stories, and chill vibes, and a little bit of spice. If that is what you're looking for, then you should come over at 8 p.m. EST. Don't miss out. I better see you there. Remember to hydrate, chat. Ooh. There's just something so good about fresh water. I mean, fresh blood is completely different, but there's just something different about like a nice ice cold glass of water. Like you can feel it just lubricating your organs. It's really nice. Make sure to drink lots of water so you can cherish that feeling of lubricating your organs. Hi there, I'm Grimm, the custodian of the library Paradoxica, and here's why you should come to my stream. If you are stressed, struggling to sleep, or just bored, I am here for you. I bring ASMR, spooky stories, and chill vibes, and a little bit of spice. If that is what you're looking for, then you should come over at 8 p.m. EST. Don't miss out. I better see you there. Remember to hydrate, chat. Ooh. There's just something so good about fresh water. I mean, fresh blood is completely different, but there's just something different about like a nice ice cold glass of water. Like you can feel it just lubricating your organs. It's really nice. Make sure to drink lots of water so you can cherish that feeling of lubricating your organs. Hi there, I'm Grimm, the custodian of the library Paradoxica, and here's why you should come to my stream. If you are stressed, struggling to sleep, or just bored, I am here for you. I bring ASMR, spooky stories, and chill vibes, and a little bit of spice. If that is what you're looking for, then you should come over at 8 p.m. EST. Don't miss out. I better see you there. Remember to hydrate, chat. Ooh. There's just something so good about fresh water. I mean, fresh blood is completely different, but there's just something different about like a nice ice cold glass of water. Like you can feel it just lubricating your organs. It's really nice. Make sure to drink lots of water so you can cherish that feeling of lubricating your organs. Hi there, I'm Grimm, the custodian of the library Paradoxica, and here's why you should come to my stream. If you are stressed, struggling to sleep, or just bored, I am here for you. I bring ASMR, spooky stories, and chill vibes, and a little bit of spice. If that is what you're looking for, then you should come over at 8 p.m. EST. Don't miss out. I better see you there. Remember to hydrate, chat. Ooh. There's just something so good about fresh water. I mean, fresh blood is completely different.
Spirited today.
There's just something different about like a nice ice cold glass of water. Like you can feel it just lubricating your organs. It's really nice. Make sure to drink lots of water so you can cherish that feeling of lubricating your organs. I hope you all are doing well. Hi there, I'm Grimm, the custodian of the library Paradoxica, and here's why you should come to my stream. If you are stressed, struggling to sleep, or just bored, I am here for you. I bring ASMR, spooky stories, and chill vibes. Hello, and thank you all for coming today. Today we are welcome in. My name is Grimoire Index, and today we're going to be reading some fairy tales. Dark ones, maybe ones that are a bit more excuse me, grim, if you will. And, of course, I have a physical book with me. And, of course, we're gonna read it. So, please enjoy. And But first we're going to start off with some book sounds. Ooh. Ah, a bit of eye cord flew in my eye. This book is very old. Let me hear you. Let me squeeze the cover a little bit so that you guys can hear it. Welcome in. Excuse me. I still have yet to fix that. Forgive me. Mug? It's a teacup, not a mug. But thank you. Okay. Tima? Oh my goodness. I don't necessarily like tapping on the pages. Could be a bowl. It's definitely a teacup. I love a good mug of tea. Oh, you stop that. Oh dang, I meant to go get one before. Oh no. Is that going to be a thing now? Are you guys going to make it a thing? Oh, come on now. You're going to make it a thing. It's okay. I accept it. Mug of tea. Fine. Feel free to get some. I'm not going to start reading until we hit the 20-minute mark. No, genuinely, that's how we have black tea with milk here. Mug of tea. Cuppa. I thought Australians said cuppa. One moment. Wait, but then mug of tea. Despite this clearly being a teacup, you know, I will give to you that it is about the size of my face, so. Well, I feel like Australia was a prison colony, so it was your prison colony. So it's a giant mug. It's a teacup. Yours is a cup, a big cup, mind you. Yes, it's a teacup. Tetraflare to the face. It's a bowl. You could put soup in it. A bowl doesn't have handles like that. Also, you should know it's very hard for me to handle actual teacups. They just shatter. I have a porridge mug. A porridge mug? You're eating porridge out of a mug instead of a bowl? Is there like a difference? What? Okay, that's enough tapping. It's the size of a bowl and kind of bowl-shaped, but has a handle. Okay. Well, then that's a does that become a mug then? I feel like then, no, I feel like then that's a cup, right? It's a cup. Mugs are just the ones that you... Hold on one second. Hold on. We'll research it. Hold on. Excuse me. So mugs have a cylindrical shape. No, mugs have a cylindrical shape and are used for drinking tea, coffee, and other beverages in informal context. Cups are usually smaller than mugs and used in more formal contexts. Their shape is flared, and they often are part of a matching saucer set. I lost the saucer, but this is definitely a cup. But it is not cylindrical in shape. It is flared. Therefore, it is a cup, not a mug. Welcome in, by the way. It is not mug-shaped. Yeah, that is definitely still a cup, despite it being a mug, like, in height. Enjoy your mug of tea. It is definitely a cup, but I appreciate your persistence. I appreciate your persistence. Let's read a story, shall we? Well, cup is usually referring to a teacup, but a mug is something in particular. A mug is usually referring to the cylindrical object used in informal situations. But a cup is flared, like this. Okay, car. But I digress. I think we can read our first story. This is not a bowl. Bowls don't have handles. This is definitely not a pot. Excuse me. A bucket when it's big enough. Ugh, you guys. Near a great forest there lived a poor woodcutter and his wife, and his 2 children. The boy's name was Hansel, and the girl's name Gretel. They had a very little to bite or to sup, and once, when there was a great dearth in the land, the man could not even gain the daily bread. As he lay in bed one night, thinking of this and turning and tossing, he sighed heavily and said to his wife, "What will become of us? We cannot even feed our children. There is nothing left for ourselves." "I will tell you what, husband," answered the wife. We will take the children early in the morning. Welcome. Into the forest, where it is thickest, and we will make them make a fire, and we will give each of them a piece of bread. Then we will go to our work and leave them alone. They will never find the way home again, and we shall be quit of them. No, wife, said the man, I cannot do that. I cannot find in my heart to take my children into the forest and to leave them there alone. The wild animals would soon come and devour them. Oh, you fool, she said. Then we will all four starve. You better get the coffins ready. And she left him no peace until he consented. But I really pity the poor children, said the man. The two children had not been able to sleep for hunger, and heard what their stepmother had said to their father. Gretel wept bitterly, and said to Hansel, It's all over with us. Do be quiet, Gretel, said Hansel, and do not fret. One will manage something. And when the parents had gone to sleep, he got up, put on his little coat, and opened the back door, and slipped out. The moon was shining brightly, and the white flints that lay in front of the house glistened like pieces of silver. Hansel stopped and filled the little pocket of his coat as full as it would hold. Then he went back and said to Gretel, Be easy, little sister, and go to sleep quietly. God will not forsake us. And lay himself down again in his bed. When the day was breaking, and before the sun had risen, the wife came and awoke the two children, saying, Get up, you lazy bones. We're going into the forest to cut wood. Then she gave each of them a piece of bread and said, That is for dinner, and you mustn't eat it before then, for you will get no more. Gretel carried the bread in her apron, for Hansel had his pocket full of the flints. Then they set off together, all together in the forest. When they had gotten a little away, Hansel stood still and looked back towards the house, and he did this again and again, until his father said to him, Hansel, what are you looking at? Take care not to forget your legs. Oh, father, Hansel said, I am looking at my little white kitten, who is sitting on the roof to bid me goodbye. You young fool, said the woman. That is not your kitten, but the sunshine on the chimney pot. Of course, Hansel had not been looking at his kitten, but every now and then, a flint from his pocket, and dropping it on the road. When they reached the middle of the forest, the father told the children to collect wood to make a fire to keep them warm. And Hansel and Gretel gathered. Just a second. Sorry. Can you tell I'm having a bit of a throat situation today? It has been really rough these past couple of days. Oh, thank you. I'll go ahead and do that. Whew. I have been recording non-stop. Oh my goodness. For you guys. And I'd like to say that your surprise is here, but its hookups aren't here yet. Maybe that'll let you know what your surprise is. You're gonna have to wait till Friday for it. But hopefully Friday. Hopefully Friday. If Amazon is nice to me and brings everything today. Sorry, tomorrow. I hope you feel better. Me too. Thank you for the hydrate redeem. Mm. Ooh, excuse me. Let me go ahead and boop. Get back to our story. Excuse me. That is also what I get for drinking a lot of coffee. Blood coffee is not very good for you, but it keeps you awake. Now, where was I? When they reached the middle of the forest, the father told the children to collect wood to make a fire to keep them warm, and Hansel and Gretel gathered brushwood enough for a little mountain J. I guess that was translated wrong. And it was set on fire, and when the flame was burning quite high, the wife said, "Now lay down by the fire and rest yourself, you children, and we will go and cut wood, and when we are ready, we will come and fetch you." So Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire, and at noon they ate their pieces of bread. They thought their father was in the wood all the time, as they seemed to hear the strokes of the axe, but really it was only a dry branch hanging to a withered tree, so that the wind moved to and fro. So when they stayed there a long time, their eyelids closed with weariness, and they fell fast asleep. When they at last woke, it was night, and Gretel began to cry, and said, "How shall we ever get out of this wood?" But Hansel comforted her, saying, "Wait a little while longer until the moon rises, then we can easily find the way home." And when the full moon got up, Hansel took his little sister by the hand and followed the way the flint stones shone like silver and showed them the road. They walked the night through, and by the break of day they came to their father's house. They knocked at the door, and when the wife opened it and saw Hansel and Gretel, she said, "You naughty children, why did you sleep so long in the wood? We thought you were never coming home again." But the father was glad, for it had gone to his heart to leave them both in the woods alone. Not very long after, there was again a great scarcity in those parts, and the children had heard their mother say at night, in bed, to their father, "Everything is finished up, and we only have a loaf." And after that, the tale comes to an end. The children must be off. We'll take them further into the wood this time, so that they shall not be able to find the way back. There is no other way to manage. The man felt sad at heart, and he thought it would be better to share one last morsel with one's children. But the wife would listen to nothing that he said, but scolded and reproached him. He who says A must say B too, and when a man has given once, he has to do a second time. But the children were not asleep, and had heard all the talk. When the parents had gone to sleep, Hansel got up to go out again to get more flintstone. But as he did, the wife had locked the door, and Hansel could not get out. But he comforted his little sister, and said, "Do not cry, Gretel, and go to sleep quietly, and God will help us." Early the next morning the wife came and pulled the children out of bed. She gave each a little piece of bread less than before, and on the way to the wood, Hansel crumbled the bread in his pocket, and often stopped to throw a crumb on the ground. "Hansel, what's stopping you? What are you stopping behind and staring for?" said the father. "I am looking at my little pigeon on the roof, saying goodbye to me," answered Hansel. "You fool! You fool," said the wife. "That is no pigeon, but the morning sun shining on the chimney pots." Hansel went on as before, and strew breadcrumbs all along the road. The woman led the children far into the wood, where they had never been before in all their lives. And again there was a large fire made, and the mother said, "Sit still there, you children, and when you are tired, you can go to sleep. We are going into the forest to cut wood, and in the evening, when we are ready to go home, we will come and fetch you." So when noon came and Gretel shared her bread with Hansel, who had strewn his along the road, they went to sleep, and the evening passed, and no one came for the poor children. When they awoke, it was dark night, and Hansel comforted his little sister and said, "Wait a little, Gretel, until the moon gets up. Then we shall be able to see the way home by the crumbs of bread that I have scattered along it." So when the moon rose, they got up, but they couldn't find no crumbs of bread, for the birds of the wood and of the fields had come and picked them up. Hansel thought they may find the way all the same, but they could not. They went on all the night, and then the next day from the morning until the evening, but they could not find the way out of the woods. And they were very hungry, for they had nothing to eat but the few berries they could pick up. And when they were so tired that they could no longer drag themselves along, they lay down under a tree and fell asleep. It was now the third morning since they had left their father's house. They were always trying to get back to it, but instead they only found themselves further in the wood, and if help had not come soon, they would have been starved. About noon they saw a pretty snow-white bird sitting on a bough and singing so sweetly they stopped to listen. And when he had finished, the bird spread his wings and flew before them, and they followed him until they came to a little house, and the bird perched on the roof. And when they came nearer, they saw that the house was built of bread and roofed with cakes, and the windows was transparent sugar. "We'll have some of this," said Hansel, "and make a fine meal. I will eat a piece of the roof, Gretel, and you can have some of that window that will taste sweet." So Hansel reached up and broke off a bit of the roof, just to see how it tastes, and Gretel stood by the window and gnawed at it. Then they heard a thin voice call out from inside. "Nibble, nibble like a mouse. Who is nibbling at my house?" And the children answered, "Never mind, it was the wind." And they went on eating, never disturbing themselves. Hansel, who found the roof tasted very nice, took down a piece of it, and Gretel pulled a large round window pane and sat down and began upon it. Then the door opened, and an aged woman came out, leaning upon a crutch. Hansel and Gretel felt very frightened, and let fall what they had in their hands. The old woman, however, nodded her head and said, "Ah, my dear children, how come you're here? You must come indoors and stay with me. You will be no trouble." So she took them each by the hand and led them into her little house. And there they found a good meal laid out, of milk and pancakes with sugar, apples, and nuts. After that she showed them 2 little white beds, and Hansel and Gretel laid themselves down on them and thought they were in heaven. Oh, is the RPG command not working? Moderators, is the RPG command not working? Oh, you know what? I could just check it myself. I'm a dummy. I don't think so. Huh. That's strange. It's on. Huh. Give me just a moment, okay? Nope, it's definitely connected. Let me give it a try. Huh. The command isn't working. Uh-huh. Just a moment, my dears. Well, yeah, the dungeon entry is open. Let me try restarting it. Thank you for bearing with me while we take care of this. No. Oh, wait. I think that worked. There you are. Go and feel free to re-queue up for that. I just had to restart it. Now, where were we? The old woman, although her behavior was so kind, she was a wicked witch who lay in wait for children and had built the little house on purpose to entice them. Once they were inside, she used to kill them, cook them, and eat them. And it was a feast day with her. The witch's eyes were red, and she could not see very far, but had a keen scent like the beast, and knew very well when human creatures were near. She knew that Hansel and Gretel were coming, and she gave a spiteful laugh and said triumphantly, "I have them, and they shall not escape me." Early in the morning, before the children were awake, she got up to look at them as they lay sleeping so peacefully with round rosy cheeks, and she said to herself, "What a fine feast I shall have." And then, when she grasped Hansel with her withered hand, she led him to a little stable and shut him up behind a grating. And call and scream as he might, it was no good. Then she went back to Gretel and shook her, crying, "Get up, lazy bones, fetch water, and cook something nice for your brother. He's outside in the stable and must be fattened up, and when he's fat enough, I will eat him." Gretel began to weep bitterly, but it was of no use. She had to do what the wicked witch bade her, and so the best kind of victuals was cooked for poor Hansel, while Gretel got nothing but crab shells. Each morning the old woman visited the stable and cried, "Hansel, stretch out your finger, so that I may tell if you will soon be fat enough." Hansel, however, used to hold a little bone, and the old woman, who had weak eyes, could not see what it was, and was supposing it to be Hansel's figure, wondering very much that it was not getting fatter. When 4 weeks had passed, Hansel seemed to remain so thin, and could wait no longer. When 4 weeks had passed, and Hansel seemed to remain so thin, she lost patience and could wait no longer. "Now then, Gretel," she cried to the little girl, "be quick and draw water. Be Hansel fat or be he lean, tomorrow I must kill and cook him." Oh, what grief for the poor little sister to have to fetch water, and how the tears flowed down over her cheeks. "Dear God, pray help us," she cried. "If we had been devoured by wild beasts in the woods, at least we would have died together." "Spare me your lamentations," said the old woman. "They are of no avail." Early next morning, Gretel had to get up, make the fire, and fill the kettle. "First we do the baking," said the old woman. I have heated the oven already and kneaded the dough." She pushed poor Gretel towards the oven, out of which the flames were already shining. "Creep in," said the witch, "and see if it's properly hot, so that the bread may be baked." And Gretel once in, she meant to shut the door upon her and let her be baked. Then she would have eaten her. But Gretel perceived her intention and said, "I don't know how to do it. How shall I get in?" "Stupid goose," said the old woman. "The opening is big enough, you see. I could get in myself." And she stooped, down and put her head into the oven's mouth. Then Gretel gave her a push so that she went farther in, and she shut the iron door upon her and put up the bar. And how frightfully she howled! But Gretel ran away and left the wicked witch to burn miserably. Gretel went straight for Hansel and opened the stable door and cried, "Hansel, we are free! The old witch is dead!" And then out flew Hansel like a bird from his cage as soon as the door was opened. How rejoiced they both were! How they fell on each other's necks and danced about and kissed each other. And as they had nothing more to fear, they went over the witch's house, and in every corner stood chests of pearls and precious stones. This and looks like I was on a break. I apologize. If you missed any part of the story, feel free to see this in the VOD. I apologize. This is something better than Flintstones, said Hansel as he filled his pocket, and Gretel, thinking that she would also like to carry something home with her, filled her apron full. "Now away we go," said Hansel. "If we could only get out of the witch's wood." When they had journeyed a few hours, they came to a great piece of water. "We could never get across this," said Hansel. "I see no stepping stones or bridge." "And there is no boat either," said Gretel. "But here comes a white duck. If I shall ask her, she will help us over." So she cried, "Duck, duck, here we stand, Hansel and Gretel on the land. Stepping stones and bridge we lack. Carry us over on your nice white back." And the duck came accordingly, and Hansel got on and told his sister to come too. "No," said Gretel, "that would be too hard upon the duck. We can go separately, one after the other." And that was how it was managed. And after that they went on happily until they came to the wood, and the way grew more and more familiar, till at last, in the distance, their father's house. Then they ran until they came upon it, rushed in at the door, and fell upon their father's neck. The man had not a quiet hour since he left his children in the wood, but the wife was dead. And then, when Gretel opened her apron, and the pearls and precious stones were scattered all over the room, Hansel took out one handful after another from his pocket, and then all the care at an end, they lived in great joy together. My tale is done. There runs a mouse. Whoever catches it may make himself a big fur cap out of it. The end. Wasn't that a fun story? I know how much you guys like fairy tales. Let me start up the music a little. Oh, this is sad. This is fine. That's too loud. There we go. This is fine. Give me just a second. I need to check the license on the song. Oh. Oh. Well, okay, I think we're good. Okay. Alright, as long as it's being used as background music, I think we're okay. Can you even hear it, I wonder? Can you all hear the background music? Yes, the background music. It's very quiet. Here, let me make it a little louder for you. Is that okay? I figured we were reading fairy tales, so we should hear some fairy tale-like music. I think it's nice. It's like a soothing lullaby. I hope you guys are enjoying that. Me, oh, that sounded interesting. What was that about? Oh, hydrate? Of course. Congratulations on beating that boss. Finished my first bottle of water for the stream. Glass. Yes, it is a glass. I'll give you that. No. What is it with you and cups today? I thank you for the redeem, though. I think it's nice. Oh, so let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So, Friday is ritual night. Usually it's, and I quote, whatever Wednesday. Ritual Friday. I haven't come up with an alliteration for Friday yet. And SCP Sunday. Right? Those are the 3 days that I stream. So next stream is Ritual Friday. And I'm just curious. Obviously, I'm trying to figure out what you would want for Ritual Friday. I have something planned for this Friday, but next Friday I don't have something planned. So if you have some ideas as to what you would want to hear or see, I guess as something that you can relax to later. And anything is really on the table. So don't feel embarrassed to ask for something. Oh, excuse me. Within Twitch and YouTube's TOS. Hold on, let me zoom in a little bit. Within TOS. This is not any of the blue platforms. I want to keep my channel because I know you guys would want that for me. Also, why am I not sitting? It's a little weird to not be sitting. Let's go to the next stall, shall we? Oh, I like this one. Did anyone have a request for the next story we read? Ooh, this one's gonna be a long one. If I'm choosing, then it'll be a long one. Okay. Oh, something I enjoy. Or Snow White. I enjoy long stories. Well, first, let's read this story, and then we can read Snow White. Hopefully my voice is low enough so it kind of counts as a whisper without me whispering. Where are we? Ah, yes. A poor man had 12 children and had to work day in and day and night in order to feed them. Thus, when the 13th came into the world, not knowing what to do in his need, he ran out into the highway, intending to ask the first person whom he met to be the godfather. The first person who came his way was our dear God, who already knew what was in his heart. And God said to him, "Poor man, I pity you. I will hold your child at his baptism, and will take care for him, and make him happy on earth." And the man said, "Who are you?" "I am God." "Then I do not wish to have you as a godfather," said the man. "You give to the rich, and let the poor starve." Thus spoke the man, for he did not know how wisely God divides out wealth and poverty. Then he turned away from the Lord and went on his way. Then the devil came to him and said, "What are you looking for?" "If you take me as your child's godfather, I will give him abundance of gold and all the joys in the world as well." And the man asked, "Who are you?" "I am the devil." "Then I do not wish to have you as a godfather," said the man. "You deceive mankind and lead them astray." He went on his way. And then Death, on his withered legs, came walking towards him and said, "Take me as your child's godfather." The man asked, "Who are you?" "I am Death, who makes everyone equal." Then the man said, "You are the right one. You take away the rich as well as the poor without distinction. You shall be my child's godfather." Death answered, "I will make your child rich and famous, for he has me, for a friend cannot fail." The man said, "Next Sunday is the baptism. Be there on time." And Death appeared as he promised, and served as godfather in an orderly manner. After the boy came of age, his godfather appeared to him one day and asked him to go with him. He took him out to the woods and showed him a herb that grew there, saying, "Now you shall receive your godfather's present. I will turn you into a famous physician. Whenever you are called to a sick person, I will appear to you. If I stand at the person's head, you may say with confidence that you can make him well again, and give him some of this herb, and he will recover. But if I stand at the sick person's feet, he is mine, and you must say that he is beyond help, and that no physician in the world could save him. But beware of using this herb against my will, or something very bad will happen to you." It was not long before the young man had become the most famous physician in the whole world. People said of him, "He only needs to look at the sick in order to immediately know their condition, and whether they regain their health or they are doomed to die." And people came to him from far and wide, taking him to their sick and giving him so much money that he soon became a wealthy man. Now it came to pass that the king became ill, and the physician was summoned, and it was told to say that recovery was possible. However, when he approached the bed, Death was standing at the sick man's feet. And so, no herb on earth would be able to help him. "If only I could deceive Death once," thought the physician. "He will be angry, of course, but because I am his godson, he will shut one eye. I will risk it." He therefore took hold of the sick man and laid him the other way around, so that Death was now standing on his head. He gave the king some kind of herb, and he recovered and became healthy again. But Death came to the physician and made a dark and angry face and threatened him with his finger. "You have betrayed me. I will overlook it this time because you are my godson. But if you dare do it again, it would cost you your neck, and I will take you yourself away with me." Soon after, the king's daughter became seriously ill. She was his only child, and he cried day and night until his eyes were going blind. Then he proclaimed, "Whoever rescued her from death shall become her husband and inherit the crown." When the physician came to the sick girl's bed, he saw Death at her feet. He should have remembered his godfather's warning, but he was so infatuated by the princess's great beauty and the prospect of becoming her husband that he threw all thought to the wind. He did not see that Death was looking at him angrily, lifting his hand into the air and threatening him with a withered fist. He lifted the sick girl and placed her head where her feet had been, and he gave her some of the herb, and her cheeks immediately turned red, and life stirred within her once again. Death, seeing that he had been cheated out of his property a second time, approached the physician with long strides and said, "You are finished. Now it is my turn." Then Death seized him so firmly with his ice-cold hands that he could not resist, and led him into an underground cavern. Then the physician saw how thousands and thousands of candles were burning in endless rows, some large, others medium-sized, and others small. Every instant, some died out, and some were relit, so that the little flames seemed to be jumping about in constant change. "See," said Death, "these are the lifelights of mankind. The large ones belong to children. The medium-sized ones belong to married people in their best years, and the old ones belong to old people. However, even children and young people only have a tiny candle." "Show me my lifelight," said the physician, thinking that it would still be very large. Death pointed to a little stump that was threatening to go out. "See, there it is." "Oh, dear godfather," said the horrified physician, "light a new one for me. Do it as a favor to me, so that I can enjoy my life and become king and a husband of the beautiful princess." "I cannot," answered Death. "One must go out before a new one is lighted." "Then set the old one on a new one, so that it will go on burning after the old one is finished," begged the physician. Death presented that he was going to fulfill this wish, and took hold of a new large candle. But desiring revenge, he purposely made a mistake in relighting it, and the little piece fell down and went out. The physician immediately fell to the ground, and he too was now in the hands of Death. The end. What a wonderful story, right? I think that's a little bit more spirited than we want. Oh, that was a good one. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I personally really like that story. I'm glad you all are enjoying stories today. I was a little bit worried because, it's just storytelling, but it's probably one of my favorite things to do. The reason why I'm tapping on the book so much is because personally, I really like this sound. It's my favorite. Glances at your job, I never would have. Oh my goodness. Of course. Worried, but you're such a good storyteller. Sometimes, sometimes you get stuck in your own head, even though I've been doing this for 3 millennia or so. Huh. Why isn't the RPG command working again? Maybe it has a bit of a cooldown? We need an out of order sign. It might still be on its timer. Can we like borrow one from the lake? No, I've filled it. We are not nailing a fish to the television, no. But it would sing, oh heavens no. Oh, please no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, God. God damn it. Ah, my moderators, everyone. Not the rendition of Three Little Birds in my chat room. Oh, I love you guys terribly. Ah. I remember, so I have an actual story about this song, right? So, a long time ago, when I was watching a movie, and this is before cell phones were a really big thing. Like, they were there, but not as prevalent, if you will. And what ended up happening was I was at a movie and there was this devastating murder scene. The killer had gotten into the house and he was murdering everyone left and right, women, children, animal, whatever. And it was vicious and violent. But as it was going on, someone's ringtone went off. And can you guess what the ringtone was? Oh yes, it was Three Little Birds. And, don't worry, be happy. And as that was happening, you just, the screen is covered in blood and viscera. Do, 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 do. Oh man, it was a feast of cognitive dissonance. Three birds is technically a murder. I mean, yes, depending on the type of birds. Needless to say, I don't think that person will ever, have their ringer on ever again. I think the movie we were watching was Hostel. It was pretty something. It was pretty crazy to watch. Yeah. I remember there was like one particular scene where they like cut the guy's like behind his foot and and he couldn't walk, like behind the ankle, and he couldn't walk. Very interesting. I didn't know you could cut there. That was one of the torture porn flicks. Oh, wow. Well, that definitely explained it. I remember watching, recently, the one with the clown. We were watching, Andy and I were watching the one with the clown. Do you remember that one? The one with the clown? What's his name? Art the clown? Terrifier. There you go. We were watching that one. That was a lot. Art the clown. Yeah, and his girlfriend, I think. Yeah. I think I haven't seen the first one. But I've seen the other two. We watched those other two, right? Oh no, we only watched the third one. Okay. I don't think I have the stomach for whatever the one the girl originally came from. But yeah. Oh, big stretch. I gather the first and the third are better than the first, which is a usual way around. They're rough. Yeah, that was a pretty rough experience. Even when I was barely paying attention, I was like, oh no. I did find him very comical, like in a Freddy Krueger way, Freddy Krueger, but like less funny than Freddy. Yeah, he's like really gory and sadistic. And apparently nigh unkillable. Very proper grindhouse, as I understand it. Proper very grind. It's so nice to have this moment with you guys. I can just talk about whatever I'd like. I will say that, what in the heaven's name is that? Oh, what happened to the RPG now? Here. Sounds like an old pipe or a tap. Sounds like someone's supposed to be inside and they're not. Oh. What? It's 9:30. What are you doing? Go into your house like good humans. Oh. Welcome in, everyone. Oh, hello, Cursed. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. Welcome. We have guests, everyone. Behave yourselves. Hello, Raiders. Oh, wow, that is a lot. Quickly dust the books, yes. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. Cursed, how was your stream? If you need to raid and run, I completely understand. Do not worry. I will take care of your community. If you do not know who I am, my name is Grimoire Index, and I am your, well, I am your cozy scary vampire librarian VTuber, and today we are reading Grimm's fairy tales. What were you up to? What were you doing? Were you playing more of that Marvel game? I heard Gambit came out, and I was very excited because I like Gambit as a character. I will only play when Nightcrawler is released. If they dare to do that. I was also just very happy to see Storm in the game. I love Storm. She's the best one. But even if you're not playing, even if you're not playing that, what were you playing today? Behave. Yes, behave. Oh no, not Dewey. Oh, Hollow Knight! Wonderful! Did you get any further? What were you doing? How's the reading session going? Well, great. We were reading a little bit about we read about Old Man, Old God, Father Death. We read Hansel and Gretel. And it has been a very fun stream. Grinding for upgrades because I was sick of suffering. That does happen like that. Well, either way, tuck in and relax. We are definitely going to be a lot more chill today. Well, as we always are. Next, I believe we are reading Snow White. Well, feel free. Looks like those crows have given their all clear. Feel free to sit down and relax, everyone, as I queue up our next tale. Godfather Death was such a cool story. I like that idea. Now, mind you, Snow White is a longer story, so I hope you all have a big appetite for stories. It was the middle of winter. Oh, can I have something that was... Can I have, like, Dark Moon? I like that. Nope, that's a little too loud. Just a little less. I think that's fine. No, I think this is fine. It was the middle of winter, and the snowflakes were falling like feathers from the sky. And a queen sat at her window working, and her embroidery frame was of ebony. And as she worked, gazing at times out on the snow, she pricked her finger, and there fell from it 3 drops of blood on the snow. And when she saw how bright and red it looked, she said to herself, "Oh, that I had a child as white as snow, and as red as blood, and as black as the wood of the embroidery frame." Not long after, she had a daughter, with skin as white as snow, with lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony, and she was named Snow White. And when she was born, the queen died. After a year had gone, the king took on another wife. The king took on another wife, a beautiful woman, but proud and overbearing. And she could not bear to be surpassed in beauty by anyone. She had a magic looking glass, and she used to stand before it and look into it and say, "Looking glass upon the wall, who is the fairest of all?" And the looking glass would answer, "You are the fairest of them all." And she was contented, for she knew that the looking glass spoke the truth. Now, Snow White was growing prettier and prettier, and when she was 7 years old, she was as beautiful as day, far more so than the queen herself. So one day, when the queen went to her mirror and said, "Looking glass upon the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" It answered, "Queen, you are full fair, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer than you." This gave the queen a great shock, and she became yellow and green with envy. And from that hour her heart turned against Snow White, and she hated her, and envy and pride like ill weeds grew in her heart, higher and higher every day, until she had no peace, or day and night. At last she sent for a huntsman and said, "Take the child out into the woods, so that I may set eyes on her no more. You must put her to death, and bring me her heart as a token." The huntsman consented, and led her away. But when he drew his cutlass to pierce Snow White's innocent heart, she began to weep and to say, "Oh, dear huntsman, do not take my life. I will go away into the wild wood and never come home again." And as she was so lovely, the huntsman had pity on her and said, "Away with you, poor child," for he thought the wild animals would be sure to devour her, and it was as if a stone had been rolled away from his heart when he spared her to be put to death. Just at the moment, a young wild boar came running by, so he caught and killed it. Taking out its heart, he brought it to the queen for a token. Thank you for following. Thank you for following emotion. Emotion. And it was salted and cooked, and the wicked woman ate it up, thinking that there was an end of Snow White. Now, when the poor... I enjoy my listen and lurk. There's a lurk command. Now, when the poor child found herself quite alone in the wild woods, she felt full of terror, and even of the very leaves on the trees, and she did not know what to do for fright. She began to run over the sharp stones and through thorn bushes, and the wild beasts after her, but they did her no harm. She ran as long as her feet would carry her, and when evening drew near, she came to a little house. Excuse me. And she went inside to rest. Everything there was small, but pretty and clean as possible. There stood a little table ready laid and covered with a white cloth, and 7 little plates, and 7 knives, forks, and drinking cups. By the wall stood 7 little beds side by side, covered in clean white quilts. Snow White, being very hungry and thirsty, ate from each plate a little porridge and bread, and drank out of each cup a drop of wine, as so not to finish one portion alone. After that, she felt so tired that she lay down on one of the beds, but it did not seem to suit her. One was too long, another was too short. So at last, the 7th was quite right. So she lay down upon it, committed herself to heaven, and fell asleep. When it was quite dark, the masters of the house came home. There were 7 dwarfs, whose occupation was to dig underground among the mountains. When they had lighted their 7 candles, it was quite light in their little house, and they saw that someone must have been in, as everything was not in the same order which they had left it. The first said, "Who has been sitting in my little chair?" The second said, "Who has been eating from my little plate?" The third said, "Who has been taking my little loaf?" The fourth said, "Who has been tasting my porridge?" The fifth said, "Who had been using my little fork?" The sixth said, "Who has been cutting with my little knife?" The seventh said, "Who has been drinking from my little cup?" Then the first one, looking around, saw a hollow in his bed, and cried, "Who has been laying on my bed?" And the others came running and cried, "Someone has been on our beds too." But when the 7th looked at his bed, he saw little Snow White laying there, asleep. Then he told the others, who came running up, crying out their astonishment, holding their 7 little candles, to throw light upon Snow White. "Oh goodness! Oh gracious!" cried they. "What beautiful child is this?" And they were so full of joy to see her that they did not wake her, but let her sleep on. And the 7th dwarf slept with his comrade, an hour a time with each, until the night had passed. When it was morning and Snow White awoke and saw the 7 dwarfs, she was very frightened. But they seemed quite friendly, and asked her what her name was, and she told them, and they asked how she came to be in their house. And she relayed to them how her stepmother had wished her to be put to death, and how the huntsman had spared her life, and how she had run the whole day long, until at last she found their little house. And the dwarf said, "If you keep our little house for us, and cook and wash, and make beds, and sew and knit, and keep everything tidy and clean, you may stay with us, and you shall lack nothing." "With all my heart," said Snow White, and so she stayed, and kept the house in a good order. In the morning, the dwarfs went to the mountain to dig for gold, and in the evening they came home, and their supper had to be ready for them. All the day long the maiden was left alone, and the good little dwarfs warned her, saying, "Beware of your stepmother. She will soon know that you are here. Let no one enter the house." Now the queen, having eaten Snow White's heart, as she supposed, felt sure that now she was the first and fairest. So she came to her mirror and said, "Looking glass upon the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the glass answered, Queen, thou art beauty rare. But Snow White, living in the glen with 7 little men, is 1,000 times more fair. Then she was very angry, for the glass always spoke the truth, and she knew that the huntsman must have deceived her, and that Snow White must be still living. And she thought and thought how she could manage to make an end of her. For as long as she was not the fairest in the land, envy left her no rest. At last she thought of a plan. She painted her face and dressed like an old peddler woman, so that no one would have known her. In this disguise she went across the 7 mountains until she came across the house of the 7 little dwarves. And she knocked at the door and cried, Fine wares to sell. Oh, excuse me, old person. Fine wares to sell, fine wares to sell. Snow White peeped out of the window and cried, Good day, woman. What do you have to sell? Good wares, fine wares, answered she, laces of all colors, and she held up a piece that was woven of variegated silk. I need not be afraid letting in this good woman, thought Snow White, and she unbarred the door and bought the pretty lace. What a figure you are, said the old woman. Come, let me lace you properly for once. And Snow White, suspecting nothing, stood before her and let her lace her with the new lace. But the old woman had laced so quickly and so tight that it took Snow White's breath away, and she fell down as dead. Now you are done with being the fairest, said the old woman, as she hastened away. Not long after that, towards evening, the 7 dwarfs came home, and they were terrified to see their dear Snow White, lying on the ground without life or motion. They raised her up, and when they saw how tightly she was laced, they cut the lace in 2. Then she began to draw breath, and little by little she returned to life. When the dwarfs heard what had happened, they said, The old peddler woman was no other than the wicked queen. You must beware of letting anyone hear. You must beware of letting anyone when we are not here. And then the wicked witch got home, and she went to her looking-glass and said, Looking-glass against the wall, who is the fairest of them all? And it answered as before, Queen, thou art of beauty rare, but Snow White, living in the glen with 7 little men, is 1,000 times more fair. When she heard that, she was so struck with surprise that all the blood had left her heart, for she knew that Snow White must still be living. But now, said she, I will think of something that will be her ruin. And by witchcraft she made a poisoned comb. Then she dressed herself up to look like a different sort of old woman, so that she went across the 7 mountains and came across the house of the 7 dwarfs, and knocked at the door and cried, Good wares to sell, good wares to sell. Snow White looked out and said, Go away, I must not let anybody in. But you are not forbidden to look, said the old woman, taking out the poisoned comb and holding it up. Oh, you all are still, you guys are still trying to play the RPG game, and it's not. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I closed it so I could reopen it, and I had forgotten to reopen it. I'm sorry. Try again. Forgive me, everyone. Go away. Of course I get hit with the clown emoji. Thank you, I guess. I am a clown, honk honk. But you are not forbidden to look, said the old woman, taking out the poisoned comb and holding it up. It pleased the poor child so much that she was tempted to open the door, but when the bargain was made, the old woman said, Now for once your hair shall be properly combed. Poor Snow White, thinking no harm, let the old woman do as she would, but no sooner as the comb was put in her hair than the poison began to work, and the poor girl... Oh! Are you trying to poison me? Thank you. You know what? Snow White deserves it. At this point, yes. Excuse me. Then the poor girl fell down senseless. Now you paragon of beauty, said the wicked woman, this is the end of you, and went off. By good luck it was now near evening, and the 7 little dwarfs came home. When they saw Snow White lying on the ground as dead, they thought directly that it was the stepmother's doing, and looked about and found the poisoned comb. And no sooner had they drawn it out of her hair than Snow White came to herself and relayed all that had passed. Then they warned her once more to be on her guard, and never again to let anyone at the door. The queen went home and stood before the looking-glass and said, Looking-glass against the wall, who is the fairest of us all? And the looking-glass answered as before, Queen, thou art of beauty rare, but Snow White living in the glen with 7 little men is 1,000 times more fair. When she heard the looking-glass speak thus, she trembled and shook with anger. Snow White shall die, cried she, though it shall cost me my own life. And then she went to a secret lonely chamber, where no one was likely to come, and there she made a poisonous apple. It was beautiful to look upon, being white with red cheeks, so that anyone who should see it must long for it, but whoever ate even a little bit of it must die. When the apple was ready, she painted her face. Excuse me. Can I have something a little bit more? Can I, please? You know what? Good enough. when I was a young boy. I'm sorry. When the apple was ready, she painted her face and clothed herself like a peasant woman, and went across the 7 mountains to where the 7 dwarfs lived. And when she knocked at the door, Snow White put her head out of the window and said, "I dare not let anyone in. The 7 dwarfs told me not." "All right," answered the woman. "I can easily get rid of my apples elsewhere. There, I will give you one." "No," answered Snow White, "I dare not take anything." "Are you afraid of poison?" said the woman. "Look here. I will cut the apple into 2 pieces. You shall have the red side, and I will have the white one." For the apple was so cunningly made that all the poison was in the rosy half of it. Snow White longed for the beautiful apple, and as she saw the peasant woman eating a piece, she could no longer refrain. She stretched out her hand and took the poisoned haft, but no sooner had she taken a morsel of it into her mouth, she fell to the earth as dead. The queen, casting on her a terrible glance, laughed aloud. "As white as snow, and as red as blood, and as black as ebony. This time the dwarves will not be able to bring you to life again." And when she went home, she asked the looking-glass against the wall, "Who is the fairest of us all?" And at last it answered, You are the fairest now of all." Then her envious heart had peace, as much as an envious heart can have. The dwarfs came home in the evening and found Snow White lying on the ground, and there came no breath out of her mouth, and she was dead. They lifted her up and sought if anything poisonous to be found, cut her laces and combed her hair and washed her with water and wine, but all was no avail. The poor child was dead, and remained dead. Then they lay her on a bier, and sat all 7 of them around it, and wept and lamented 3 whole days. Then they would have buried her, but that she looked as if she were still living, with her beautiful blooming cheeks. So they said, "We cannot hide her away in the black ground." So they made a coffin of clear glass, so as to be looked at from all sides, and they lay her in it, and wrote in golden letters upon it her name, and that she was a king's daughter. Then they set the coffin out upon the mountain, and one of them always remained by to watch. And the birds came too, and mourned for Snow White, first an owl, then a raven, and lastly a dove. Now, for a long while... Oh, I'm still holding my drink. Now, for a long while, Snow White lay in the coffin, and never changed, but looked as if she was asleep, for she was still as white as snow, and as red as blood, and her hair was as black as ebony. It happened, however, that one day a king's son rode through the wood and up to the dwarf's house, which was near it. He saw on the mountain the coffin and the beautiful Snow White within it, and he read what was written in golden letters upon it. Then he said to the dwarfs, "Let me have the coffin, and I will give to you whatever you'd like to ask for it." But the dwarfs told him that they could not part with it for all the gold in the world. But he said, "I beseech you to give it to me, for I cannot live without looking upon Snow White. If you consent, I will bring to you the great honor, and I will take care of you as if you were my own brethren." When he had spoke, the good little dwarfs had pity upon him, and gave him the coffin. And the king's son called his servants, and bid them carry it away on their shoulders. Now it so happened that as they were going along, they stumbled over a bush, and with the shaking of a bit of the poison apple flew out of her throat. It was not long before she opened her eyes and threw off the cover of the coffin and sat up, alive and well.
"Oh dear, where am I?"
cried she. The king's son answered, full of joy, "You are near me." And relaying all that had happened, he said, "I would rather have you than anything in the world. Come with me to my father's castle, and you shall be my bride." And Snow White was kind, and went with him. And their wedding was held with pomp and great splendor. But Snow White's wicked mother was also bidden to the feast, and she had dressed herself in beautiful clothes, and went to her looking-glass and said, "Looking-glass upon the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" The looking-glass answered, "O Queen, though you are of beauty rare, the young bride is 1,000 times more fair." Then she railed and cursed, and was beside herself with disappointment and anger. First, she thought she would not go to the wedding, but she felt she would have no peace until she went and saw the bride. And when she saw her, she knew her for Snow White, and could not stir from the place for anger and terror, for they had ready red-hot iron shoes, in which she had to dance until she fell down dead. The end. Did you like that story? Let me have a sip of some blood. Can I have the jazz again? I like that. There we are. I like the jazz stuff. Won't catch that at the end of the Disney version. So funny enough, Sound Horizon did a you like jazz. Sound Horizon did like the Grimm fairy tales with like Hatsune Miku as like backing vocals, and it was so cool. It was such a cool portrayal of it as like a stage play. I don't remember what it was called. Let's read one more story. But first, let's relax just a little bit. You and I together. But as I said before, Fridays are our rituals. So if you are a ghoul, or even if you're a reader, feel free to come and join us in the Discord and leave suggestions for ritual night. And, oh, you mentioned a breakdown, right? But feel free to come and join us for ritual night and let me know what you would like to see. Let me see what exactly it was you said. Excuse me. Fun fact, I analyzed this story for a university essay using Vladimir's morphology of this this folktale. Really interesting book. Basically breaks down the European folktales into a series of formulas. Interesting. I hope everyone is doing all right. Hold on, I have to go check on YouTube. Are you doing all right, YouTube? I hope you're doing well. And don't worry, I'm going to try my best to try and edit this down so this way you can have it, as a little treat later. I cannot promise anything because, hoo boy, I have so much to do. Another hydrate. Well, thank you. Chug, chug, chug. No, you cannot chug blood. Well, I mean, there are certain vampires that would definitely do so. I am not one of them. Hopefully you understand. Not with that attitude. No, I'm definitely not one of them. Looks like our crows have given the all clear, and those merchant demons have moved on, and we can continue our business. Did you enjoy the story? Do not worry, do not fret. We have one more tale to tell, and then we shall be on our way into the dark night. Every YouTube video has been a banger. Thank you so much. Do not worry or fret. I promise, and this is me promising, you will get 2 long-form videos every month and a metric fuckton of a genuinely metric fuckton of shorts. I have a lot planned, so do not worry. You will always have more Grimm, I promise. No, not an Imperial Fluctron. Either way, let's see exactly let's see what we can read for our last story of the night. This big book of stories has been in my library for a very long time, you know. Supposedly, the founder of the library, had this book right here. And over time, it was kind of just covers, right? It was just covers. And the pages bloomed out like flowers over time. I've got to get going. Story time has been great, Grimm. Thank you. Well, be very well, and you are quite welcome. Thank you again for your service, and sweet dreams to you. I would blow you a kiss, but I don't know you. I don't know if you like that sort of thing. Instead, I will toast to you. Toast. All right. Let's read that. Let's find that final story. Nighty night. Okay, so which Grimm fairy tale would you like to hear next? Salud. Let's read this one. Be kind, book. The Singing Bone is a fun one. Would you like to do that one? Or the Devil's Sooty Brother? Oh, excuse me. Oh, both sound fun. Well, I'll let someone else do a quick vote. Really quickly now. There's also the donkey one as well. I think I will read The Devil's Sooty Brother. And whenever we do this again, we will start with the Singing Bone. Does that sound fair? Kind and nice? A disbanded soldier had nothing to live on, and he did not know how to get on. So he went out into the forest, and when he had walked for a short way, he met a little man, who, however, was the devil. And the little man said to him, what ails you? You seem so sorrowful." Then the man said, "I am hungry, but I have no money." The devil said, "If you will hire yourself to me, and be my serving man, you shall have enough for all your life. You shall serve me for 7 years, and after that you shall be free. But one thing I must tell you is that you must not wash, comb, or trim yourself, or cut your hair or nails, or wipe the water from your eyes." The soldier said, "All right, if there is no help for it," and went off with the little man, who straightway led him down into hell. He told him what he had to do. He was to poke the fire until the kettles were in where the hell broth was stewing, keep the house clean, drive all the sweepings behind the doors, and see that everything was in order. But if he peeped into the kettles, it would go ill with him. The soldier said, "Good, I will take care." And then the old devil went out and on his wanderings, and the soldier entered upon his new duties, made the fire, swept all the dirt well behind the doors, just as he had been bidden. And when the old devil came back again, he looked to see if all had been done, appeared satisfied, and went forth a second time. Now the soldier took a good look on every side, and the kettles that were standing all around hell with a mighty fire below them, and inside they were boiling and sputtering. He would have given anything to look inside them, if the devil had not so particularly forbidden him. At least he could no longer restrain himself. At last he could no longer restrain himself, slightly raised, and there he saw his former corporal shut in. "Ah, old bird," he said, "do I meet you here? You once had me in your power, now I have you." He quickly let the lid fall, poked the fire, and added a fresh log. After that he went to the second kettle, raised its lid also a little, and peeped in. His former ensign was in that. "Ah, old bird, so I find you here. You once had me in your power, now I had you." He closed the lid again, and fetched another log to make it really hot. Then he wanted to see who might be sitting up in the third kettle. It was actually to be a general. "Ah, old bird, do I meet you here? Once you had me in your power, now I have you." And he fetched the bellows, and made hell fire blaze right under him. So he did his work, 7 years in hell, did not wash, comb, or trim himself, or cut his nails, or wash with water out of his eyes, and the 7 years seemed so short to him that he thought he had only been half a year. Now, when the time had fully gone by, the devil came and said, "Well, Hans, what have you done?" "I poked the fire under the kettles. I have swept the dirt well behind the doors. But you have peeped into the kettles as well. It is lucky for you that you added fresh logs to them, or else your life would have been forfeited. Now that your time is up, will you go home again?" "Yes," said the soldier. "I should very much like to see what my father is doing at home." The devil said, "In order that you might receive the wages that you have earned, Go fill your knapsack full of the sweepings, and take it home with you. You must also go unwashed and uncombed, with long hair on your head and beard, with uncut nails and dim eyes. And when you ask from whence you came, you must say hell. And when you are asked who you are to say, the devil's sooty brother, and my king as well. The soldier held his peace, and did as the devil bade him. But he was not at all satisfied with his wages. Then as he was up in the forest, he took his knapsack from the back to empty it, but opening it, the sweepings had become pure gold. I should have never expected that, said he, and was well pleased, and entered the town. The landlord was standing in front of the inn, and when he saw the soldier approaching, he was terrified, because Hans looked so horrible, worse than a scarecrow. He called to him and asked, Whence comest thou? Whence comest thou? From hell. Who art thou? The devil's sooty brother, and my king as well. Then the host would not let him enter, but when Hans showed him the gold, he came and unlatched the door himself. Then Hans ordered the best room in attendance, ate and drank his fill, but neither washed nor combed himself, as the devil had bidden him, but at last lay down to sleep. But the knapsack full of gold remained before the eyes of the landlord, and left him no peace, and during the night he crept in and stole it away. However, when Hans got up and wanted to pay the landlord and travel further, behold, his knapsack was gone. But he soon composed himself, and thought, Thou must have been unfortunate, from no fault of thy own, and went straight back to hell, and complained of his misfortune to the old devil, and begged for his help. The devil said, Seat yourself, and I will wash, comb, and trim you, and cut your hair and nails, and wash your eyes for you. And when he was done with him, he gave him the knapsack full of sweepings again. Go and tell the landlord that he must return your money, or I will come and fetch him, and he shall poke the fire in your place. Hans went up and said to the landlord, Thou hast stolen my money, and if thou dost not return it, thou shalt go down to hell in my place, and will look as horrible as I am. Then the landlord gave him the money, and more besides, only begging him to keep it a secret, and Hans was now a rich man. He set out on his way home to his father. He bought himself a shabby smock frock to wear, and strolled about making music, for he learned to do that while he was with the devil in hell. However, there was an old king in that country, before whom he had to play, and the king was so delighted with his playing that he promised him his eldest daughter in marriage. But when she heard she was to be married to a common fellow in a smock frock, she said, Rather than do that, I would go into the deepest water. Then the king gave him the youngest, who was quite willing to do it to please her father. And thus the devil's sooty brother got the king's daughter, and when the aged king died, the whole kingdom likewise. And that is our last story of the night. Did you have fun? each story a little more different than the last, hmm? Would you take the devil's deal? 7 years in hell for a knapsack full of gold? But you'd have to look like a hobo for the rest of your life. How unfortunate. And I bet you'd smell horrible. I wonder how long it would take to even scrub all that filth and gunk on your skin. How unfortunate. But I think that is all we have time for today. Let us see who we can share our love with. It reminds me of another story, of a dragon demanding the service of 3 brothers, deserting the army for, you guessed it, 7 years. Interesting. Well, I guess not. If the devil was real, that means heaven is too, and you'd be damned. Well, yeah, I'd definitely be damned. Oh boy, I would definitely be damned. Oh. Listen, I get my blood ethically. But, sometimes. Sometimes things get a little bit too rough, hmm? I think we should go visit our bear friend. It looks like he's in Abeles in Final Fantasy XIV. I actually really like that raid series. Let's prepare to share some love and have a lot of fun, shall we? Oh, wait. Do we have any people that are playing Final Fantasy XIV? Maybe I shouldn't raid into him because, I think it should be fine. It should be fine. I think it's like towards the end anyway. It's okay. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams. And don't forget to let me know what you'd like the ritual to be next Friday.